Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Snippy Joker, and on today's episode we start down the list of healers, and the first one on that list is Loki. Now before we go into our tips and tricks and what have I learned while playing Loki during these next couple games, let's go over his abilities. Now first things first, his main ability, his main attack is to shoot out magic from his spear, or is it spear? We'll call it a spear. I mean, it looks like a spear, but it could be a staff, magical staff. But to shoot out magic from his staff. Now this magic that comes out of Loki can do damage to the enemy, or if you're hitting an ally, can heal them. Now the first ability down the list, if you hit circle on a PS5 controller, or if you hit circle, or if you hit the button for his first ability in the lineup, it is to swap between his clones. Now, I've noticed while playing him, you could swap to a clone that you're looking at, but I think it's based on the last clone you're looking at, or the closest one to you, that you will swap to. The next up in his lineup is the ability to create clones. Now, you can call it a clone, you can call it a mirage, you can call it an after image, but I like to call them clones. It's just easier to say for me. You can create up to 2, so you can have up to 3 Lokis on the field at once. I thought originally it was 3. I was wrong until I started playing Loki. It is 2. And you can place these clones, like I'm doing here, anywhere on the map. It could be right next to you, it could be across the map. There's a distance, it depends on, and it'll show you what it means, or where you can put them, because you'll see that little triangle of Loki's face, and that's the maximum distance you can put them. And I believe it is up to maybe 10 meters away from you, and you can put them on a ledge, or you can put them anywhere you want to. After that, you have the ability, I believe the next ability is to use your lanterns. And your lanterns not only go above your head, but they go above the clones you've made as well. And they're stationary to where Loki is and cannot be moved. So once you place them, that's where they stay, and they heal you and your allies around you. And the last ability that Loki has is to make himself disappear. So you can go invisible, create another after image or clone, and of course that will replace a previous clone that you have put on the field, and you can go invisible. Now the only way to come out of invisibility is of course if you start to attack or if you take damage. Other than that, I don't know if there was a time limit, because I was either attacking before the time limit was up or immediately taking damage. And finally, there's Loki's ult. Now Loki's ult has the ability to copy not only your enemy characters but your ally characters. So an example here, what you're seeing in the gameplay, the Cap decided to use his ult, so I decided to clone the Cap and use the ult at the exact same time. And since I know a little bit about Cap, I knew his abilities, I knew it was a safe choice at that time period. But the choice is yours, and of course we'll go over a little bit more result in this tips and tricks portion. Now first things first, Loki is a healer. Is he considered the best healer? I don't know. I consider a Luna Snow a better choice, a Cloak and Dagger, I hate Jeffrey, but Jeffrey, or even, Rocket's becoming more popular, or what's the other, Invisible Woman. I love playing Invisible Woman. So Loki may not be your first choice, but he does have his unique abilities that make him a good healer in most matches. Now, one of his unique abilities, as you see what I'm about to do here, is creating clones of himself. And these clones not only do damage to the enemy, but can heal your allies and usually shoot to where you're aiming with Loki. Now, the problem I've had with this is, and I've learned this from not only, top players, but watching videos on how to play Loki, is you want to try and keep them as close to you as possible, because what the clones can't do is they can't shoot around corners. So if you place these clones on a let's say a cliff, and the wall is blocking them, you're losing out on damage and healing. So placing these clones near you where you're going to fire, or placing them above you with an open area, kind of like I'm trying to here on the cliff, to get that extra damage is a wise choice with these clones. But also, you kind of want to keep some distance, because if you go into battle and you're healing and you have to get away, which you'll see here, and this is a mistake I made, you want to keep these clones at a distance where you can swap back to them with the circle button on if you're on the PS5 controller. So what I mean is, in this instance, I was shooting an Iron Man. I went out here, tried to create clones on the cliff edge so I can be at a high advantage, because I feel like Loki's like a turret. But here what happens is I go down into the main battlefield because a Hulk forced me out. Smart move. And what I should have done is I should have hit circle to swap into one of my clones, either one I'm staring at or the last one I look at, or one that's close by. But instead I stay in the battlefield and use 2 clones to kind of see if I can get more damage healing, and this storm took me out. That was probably not a good move. So try and keep them at a distance where if you get into trouble and have to go into the battlefield, you can swap out. Now, the next thing is your lanterns. Your lanterns are actually pretty good healing factors. They've even been known to stop ults. You know, if you put up the lanterns, you can stop an ult and heal your allies enough to pretty much keep them from dying or taking too much damage. I've seen this done against me when I was playing the Human Torch and I was using his, what is it called? The Inferno attack? No, Supernova attack. The Supernova attack. The match I was in was so difficult, or became more difficult, because of Loki. I was doing pretty well with Human Torch. I was having one of the best games I ever had. And in a last minute turnaround, one of the characters on the enemy team went Loki and was preventing me from using my Supernova to take down their team and either create an ace or take most of them down. So he was able to use Loki to stop that much damage from happening. So you can do that with his lanterns. And yes, you can take out the lantern itself to stop Loki from doing this health, and you have to have good DPS characters to take him out. But you want to use this where you're near your clones, or you're putting your clones in key positions to use the healing lantern. And then lastly, his invisibility. I would use that on rare occasions because it has a high cooldown, just like his lantern. Use that on key occasions when you want to get out of there, because not only will it put you invisible, it will create another clone there for the enemy to kind of like rage on, to try and take out. So use it at like key moments to get away, leave a clone, and run away. Now his ult, like I said before, his ult is probably one of the biggest key features in this game. And as of recently, I was watching a video before, you want to try and use a healer, because here's the thing. If you use it to clone an enemy or an ally of a DPS or a tank, you're taking away from one of your healers, because that's what Loki's doing. He's healing your team. And if you use someone that's not a healer, now you're down a healer, and you may be using a character you're really not familiar with. So one of the key things you want to do is, if I think I saw, or I did in a previous gameplay, we had an Invisible Woman use her ult, and then I cloned, actually I think it was on a One Above All match I was watching, a top key player, which you can go check on my YouTube channel. An Invisible Woman used her ult. The Loki in this match copied the Invisible Woman and then used her ult as soon as the other ult was done. Again, you're Invisible Woman, use her ult, you're still Invisible Woman, you're after ult for a few seconds, you're still a healer. So if you see an Invisible Woman, if you see a Cloak and Dagger, if you see a Luna Snow, if you see another healer on your side or the other, use it on that to gain the advantage of their ult, but also don't lose out on a healer. And you saw in the previous match, I used it on a Jeff. I think I used it more to get revenge on someone for using their Jeff, but you can use it on a Jeff. Now, the other thing I learned from watching another video is to put out your clones before you go into the ult, because your clones supposedly still stay there after you've cloned, or use your clone to take on the image of another player, whether an enemy or your own character. So that means you're transforming another healer. Your clones are still out there. You're using that healer's ult. You're still the healer healing your allies, and your clones are still there, not leaving their spots. And then you go back to being Loki. Now, my thoughts with Loki are he's a great healer, and I know he would take some practice to get used to. And I know there's been matches with One Above All where I've seen them use Loki to their advantage, and if you have great team communication, if you're using Loki in high key places, like a turret, you're going to do well. Is he a top choice for me? No, I prefer more of a Luna Snow, Invisible Woman, and then probably Cloak and Dagger. But what are your thoughts on Loki? Do you like him? Do you hate him? Are you a Loki main? What are some suggestions or abilities that you favor? What are some combos that you favor? Put it in the chat. Let's have some comments. I appreciate all love and support again in these videos. All the likes I get, all the views I get. You know, I also have a Snoopy Joker Shorts. I'm on Twitter, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow me there. All Snoopy Joker related. Again, appreciate love and support. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and sub to help me grow, and hopefully YouTube can like me. And I'll see you on the next one.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.